Oh, hey, what's up, Guts? Oh, hey, what's up, Hawk, bro? Huh? Wait, hold on, don't, What the hell is a Hawk, bro? Anyways, are you ready for hot gay sex? You wanna say something? I think I'm falling in love with Casca. Wait, I thought you liked me. I mean, it's not like you ever liked your back. You're way too superhuman to be focused on normal people stuff, right? Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. You know what? As long as us three remain together, anything is fine. Yeah. I was planning on leaving and taking Casca with me. Fuck no. Griffith! What's up, Guts? Good news, Guts. I no longer care if you leave with Casca. Hawk, bro. Let's continue where we left off. Since I no longer have a heartbeat, my emotions won't get in the way anymore. Let's start off by having Gabe. I'm gonna fucking kill you! Ah! Man, Guts is so hot when he gets like this. Wait a minute. Why the fuck is my heart beating? Would you say someone who lies to manipulate others, kills innocents to achieve their goal, does such terrible things that a certain person has sworn their life to slaying them, or even forces themselves on a woman, would you say that person is evil? Most people would probably say yes. Regardless of that though, I still think Guts from Berserk is a very deep and layered character. Saying someone is good or bad depending on a few actions isn't fair to the world of Berserk in my opinion. Regardless, what I was trying to get across with the first part of the video is that Guts and Griffith are parallels, and in my opinion neither is the definition of good or evil. For example, in the Black Swordsman arc, Guts does many things that many people would consider evil. One example would be telling this girl to kill herself. Puck is a character that I had a hard time understanding for the first part of the story. Seems sort of like a filler character. But now I understand that Puck is supposed to be what the audience should feel looking at Guts not knowing where he's coming from. And if you don't know why Guts does what he does in the Black Swordsman arc, you could very well say that he is an evil person. I am sure this girl would say the exact same thing. However, of course, we as an audience know exactly why he's like this. So we try to excuse his behavior as, oh, he probably has a reason because he's the protagonist and he has to have a good reason, right? Or if this is a reread, then you already know where he got these habits from. For example, him not liking being touched came from him being sexually assaulted by a man at a young age. However, to Puck, or in turn the audience, he just seems like a prick. But because the story is being told from his point of view, the story makes it very obvious how he's truly feeling inside at certain points. But think about this for a second. What if the story wasn't being told from his point of view? What if the majority of what we saw from Guts was his actions, and never what he's really thinking? I think this is a good jump off point to talk about Griffith. One of the very first lines that Femto, or Griffith, says when they are first introduced is that Guts' petty existence is beneath his notice. This is in turn the same Griffith who, as soon as he gets a body and gets to go back to the mortal realm, the very first thing he does is visit Guts. How can someone's petty existence be so below you if the first thing a so-called god does when he gets the chance to is to go visit him? This to me told me that Griffith is not someone that you could simply listen to and understand how they are feeling. This makes perfect sense. Griffith was once the leader of the Band of the Hawk, basically an army of people who constantly are dying. When you are in command of soldiers on a battlefield, you cannot let every loss affect you emotionally. If every time one of your friends died in combat you would break down and cry, then you wouldn't be able to be a good war general. And so it makes perfect sense that Griffith would build the skill to be able to hide his emotions. But this does not mean he does not have emotions. When Griffith finds a dead boy in the battlefield, he grieves over his death, wondering what his future could have been like if life was different for him. And not only that, but the sacrifice needed to become Femto would not have been possible if they did not mean anything to him. As stated, it has to be something that you consider very valuable, and losing it would be like losing part of yourself. It was basically his heart, his emotions that basically made him fail. He's been shown trying to hide his feelings before by hurting himself, but there's only so much that can do. Griffith was kind of spoiled in the way that usually things would go his way. He may lose in the short term, but he would always get what he wants in the long term. There was a flashback where Griffith would recollect what he would gain from his little battles with his friends in his childhood. He called this shiny junk. And while looking upon a castle, he decided that was the junk he really wanted. The key word here is junk, as if he knows this is something superficial. This is happening after he was tortured. At this moment, Griffith asks himself, how long ago did someone I was supposed to have in hand instead gain such a strong hold on me? Would an image of Guts overlapping the castle he so much wanted This was after Griffith basically forced himself on the princess, throwing away any chance he had at fulfilling his dream. To Griffith, Guts was more valuable than any hunk of junk, no matter how big and shiny. At this point in the story, Griffith had lost everything, his physical powers, his power, everything he had worked for towards his quote-unquote dream, he had lost. In Griffith's mind, this was the end of his journey, there was no other way out. And somehow the person who had taken all this away was the only thing in his mind while being tortured. So, when Guts shows up to save Griffith, what happens? The epitome of his failure was right there. Here's the scene. Guts arrives to save Griffith. Griffith looks at Guts with contempt. What some people thought was an embrace is actually Griffith trying to strangle Guts. Strangle the man who ruined his dream. However, almost as if Guts was accepting fault for what he did. As if Guts feels like this is partially his fault. His only reaction to feeling Griffith's hands cross his neck is to embrace him. Griffith at this point loses his anger. He slides his hand from Guts' back to his arm and holds his hand, as in saying, it's okay. This tortured, beat him, and dreamless man was comfortable with just having his friend there. Move forward a bit and we realize that Casca's planning to leave with Guts. Griffith basically jumps on top of her as if saying, please don't go. However, a few moments later he hears Guts saying he's still leaving. And seeing Casca embrace him, I'm assuming he could have thought that Casca was still going with him even after his plead. It's when a younger version of himself shows up and tells him, we can still go even if we're alone. A man who should have only had the strength to crawl starts driving a wagon. He feels like he's already lost everything, not just all stated everything, but now Guts and Casca. Griffith, a person who thought he had lost everything because he didn't have the strength to defend his stuff anymore, a person who was taught by Guts that if he's not strong enough he will lose everything he values. Here he is given a second chance. Now he would have to sacrifice his people who he practically had already lost, people who without them felt like the world had ended. However, he still hesitated. Let me make something clear. Griffith was under a very stressful situation. Casca took over the Band of the Hawk. It was found out that she was sleepless most of the time. He was exhausted from leading the Band of the Hawk. This is probably what Griffith went through regularly. Not only that, he did unspeakable things to get shortcuts to power. He was also tortured, basically to the corner of death. This was no longer the Griffith we knew, no longer the fearless, decisive leader we always had. He was open to being manipulated. That's right, I want to argue that Griffith was partially manipulated to sacrifice the Band of the Hawk. Of course, even if he was manipulated, you can't fully blame that. It was still his actions and his decision to sacrifice the Band of the Hawk. Regardless, let me explain what I mean by manipulated. This wasn't an easy decision for Griffith. If not, he would have eventually just been like, yes, sacrifice him. Alright, later guys. Instead, he went through this really disturbing illusion they set up for him. All the people that had died for Griffith's dream had been appearing before him, asking them to take him to the castle with them. Of course, Griffith can't because they are dead. His old woman basically says that it's his fault that they are dead, when the Band of the Hawk is clearly made of people who want to support Griffith and who would be willing to die for his cause. They chose this fate for themselves. But this lady makes it seem like Griffith basically ordered them to kill themselves. Backing on that would be like saying he sacrificed them for nothing. You have to remember, Griffith has been doing this war thing since he was like a teen. You tell somebody around that age about war and I'm sure they'll think it's fun or cool. So Griffith probably didn't know just how bad it was going to be out there and how many people were going to die. This lady acts like Griffith purposely sent these people out to their death. Like if him as a kid knew that getting to that hunk of junk would mean sacrificing his friends. However, in this moment of weakness, Griffith believes her. The same Griffith that when Guts was against an unstoppable opponent, told all his troops to retreat and he stayed and fought alone with Guts ready to die. Part of me wants to believe that if Griffith hadn't sacrificed them, that he still might have been able to find a way to achieve his dream. I mean, just moments before this, he had a revelation that maybe a peaceful life without a kingdom wouldn't be so bad. But that dream to him had died the moment he thought Casca was leaving him. So now this lady's basically telling him that the only way to achieve his dream is to pile on more corpses, showing him a picture of literally a bridge built of corpses to get there, as if saying this is the only way, asking him if he wants to be part of the corpses that lead somebody else to that dream. Of course, with the pathetic state he's in, he could easily see himself becoming a corpse for somebody else's dream. And of course, we all know what happens next. The eclipse happens. Griffith loses his humanity, and now that he has the power, now that he doesn't have that humanity that stopped him from strangling Guts before, now that he doesn't lack the strength to keep Casca from going away from him, and now that he lacks the sympathy to care about Casca's feelings or Guts' feelings, he rapes Casca in front of Guts. Without his humanity, all that's left is his hate and his desire. To me, this is truly an evil Griffith. Yes, Griffith did hate his humanity because it stopped him from achieving his dreams. Just like your humanity makes you feel bad when you steal or when you do something bad, even if you don't like it, it's part of you. That humanity was part of Griffith. And without it, he is no longer Griffith. He is Femto. Of course, there is still parts of him. They're the ambition, the dreams, his goals. And with the humanity he got back from Griffith and Casca's child, maybe there is still some of the golden age Griffith in there. I mean, his heart started beating quickly when he saw Guts fighting. So maybe one day we'll get to see the Griffith that was willing to throw everything away for Guts one more time. Well, regardless, I want to cover one more thing before I finish this video. That is that I don't believe Griffith is the antagonist of Berserk. I mean, obviously he's the antagonist of the manga, right? He's supposed to be. That's what we're supposed to be thinking. That is exactly why I'm making this video, because, well, you know, you're supposed to hate Griffith. So I wanted to give a different viewpoint. What I mean that he's not the antagonist is that he gives hope to people. I think the world of Berserk is very messed up. There's a world ruled by religion, the powerful, and people not of class simply die for the rich. There is so much wrong with this world. Griffith is the protagonist of the Berserk world. He has somebody of no name, somebody with no royal background, who wants to prove that he can become king. And he does find a land where there is no more suffering. He makes apostles and humans work together to defeat an evil tyrant. If you ask anyone who's only met Griffith post-eclipse, he is a hero. Unless something is revealed, for now, Griffith is the protagonist of the Berserk world. As much as we want to see Guts tear him apart, Griffith is making many people happy. There is a flashback in Berserk where Guts is being arrested. There is another man who is being arrested with Guts, and the man tells him, hey, if you run down there, they won't be able to catch you. Don't worry about me. Guts tries to run away through the bottom like the old man said, but he gets caught. As he gets caught, the old man takes the chance to run away in the opposite direction. Guts ends up in a prison. He meets a flower spirit who's stuck there. This flower spirit helps Guts, because Guts tells this flower that he'll help it reach a field of flowers. However, from helping Guts so much, this flower destroys itself. And even with all the help he got, Guts is still cornered by the end of this chapter. And then the old man that used him to escape actually comes back and saves him. The old man who we thought just simply took advantage of Guts came back to save him. The flower who was helping Guts the whole time ended up sacrificing itself for him. So now this is my theory. The old man represents Griffith. While it may seem that he has completely betrayed Guts, one day he will come back to help him. The flower could possibly represent Guts. He is constantly shredding himself with the Berserker armor trying to protect others. There may come a time where he goes too far and ends up disappearing. And child Guts represents the people Guts will be protecting. So by this situation, Guts will be in a life or death situation where Griffith will save him. Or at least Griffith will save the people Guts was trying to save. But that's just a theory, so don't take it too seriously. Anyways, I know this was a very controversial video. And if you still want to hate Griffith, that's perfectly fine. He is the antagonist of the story. You're supposed to hate him. But regardless of how you may feel about Griffith, I think we can all agree that Guts already had an extremely hard life long before he met Griffith. Guts has been struggling in life long before he got the brand of the sacrifice. And even if it all went terribly wrong, Griffith and Guts were there for each other when they needed each other the most. Guts made his first real group of friends and he met Casca, and Griffith got to meet Guts. Everybody in the Band of the Hawk was extremely happy. Thanks to Griffith and thanks to Guts, the Band of the Hawk had many years of happiness. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe for more future videos. Feel free to comment any feedback that you would like to share with me. Follow my Twitch channel to watch me stream. And also, don't forget that this is simply my interpretation of the story. And if yours is different, that's perfectly fine. Just don't be an elitist prick about it.